In 1875, the sky went dark. But there was no storm coming. Something far more unsettling was approaching. The largest concentration of animal life ever recorded, covering over 500,000 square kilometers, weighing more than 27 million tons, made up of over 3 trillion individuals. And yet, less than 30 years later, they were all gone, forever. One of the most astonishing modern extinctions in history. To understand what happened, we need to go down the rabbit hole. In the Bible, locusts appear as the 8th plague of Egypt. For centuries, they have been associated with destruction. In 1875, the American Great Plains witnessed a swarm that swept from the Canadian border toward Texas, consuming nearly everything in its path. The species was the Rocky Mountain Locust, so overwhelmingly abundant across the American plains that extinction seemed unthinkable. The assumption was so deeply ingrained that almost no one bothered preserving specimens, leaving only a few in existence today. But the real mystery isn't that it went extinct. It's how a species that once numbered in the trillions could simply disappear, almost overnight. The Rocky Mountain Locust ruled a vast domain. From the slopes of the Rockies to the endless American prairies, it flourished in hot, dry landscapes where few others could. Breeding in sandy soils and possibly depending on the great tallgrass prairies during harsh dry spells, this was a species that seemed perfectly adapted to survive. In the 19th century, westward expansion brought humans into the heart of the locust's territory. What followed were decades of recurring outbreaks, as massive swarms repeatedly swept across the American frontier. The last great swarms arrived in the 1870s. They devastated entire states, destroyed crops, and became so numerous that trains reportedly slid over their crushed bodies. They didn't just devour crops. Their relentless hunger drove them to chew the wool off live sheep, and according to reports, even the clothes off people's backs. Farmers tried everything: fire, poison, machines, mass extermination efforts, but nothing could stop them. They were no longer just insects. They had become a natural disaster, and then they were gone. The swarms stopped. The destruction ended. Farmers rebuilt. A few final specimens were collected in the early 20th century, and then nothing. Officially, the Rocky Mountain Locust wasn't declared extinct until 2014. But in reality, it had vanished long before that, which raises an extraordinary question. How does one of the most abundant insects in Earth's history simply disappear? The most accepted theory is almost anticlimactic. The Rocky Mountain Locust may have been wiped out not by some dramatic catastrophe, but by farming. Scientists believe the species relied on surprisingly small breeding grounds hidden in sandy river valleys near the Rockies. As settlers moved west, those exact habitats were plowed, irrigated, and trampled under livestock. Their eggs may have been destroyed generation after generation. If true, the greatest locust swarms in recorded history were erased not by war against the insects, but by people simply reshaping the land. We didn't exterminate them with poison. We destroyed the very future they depended on while building our own.